It is the morning of June 12, 1962, on Alcatraz Island in San Francisco Bay. So, there are three prisoners, Frank Morris, John Anglin, and his brother Clarence. At 7:02 a.m. roll call one day, they do not respond, so a guard goes to check on all three of them. He sees all three of them lying in their beds. So he walks over to Frank's cell and taps him on the head with his nightstick, and Frank's head falls off. This guard gets the shock of his life. He probably thinks he just cut off the man's head. Lawrence. All three prisoners have disappeared from their cells, leaving behind three lifelike papier-mâché heads. Right away, this causes chaos. These prisoners are gone. How could these prisoners escape from this super-secure prison? They find that another prisoner, Alan West, also has a fake head made out of papier-mâché. Lawrence. West admits he was part of the escape, but he failed to get out of his cell in time. In exchange for lighter punishment, he agrees to tell investigators exactly how his fellow inmates did the impossible. It is amazing that these three men were even able to get out of the prison building itself. Alcatraz had the reputation of being the most secure prison in the country. Even if you get out of Alcatraz, you still have to deal with 6 watchtowers and a 20-foot fence with barbed wire. And if by some miracle you get past that too, you still have to face the dark and rough waters of San Francisco Bay. Dramatic music. Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers came to Alcatraz with a long history of escapes. Frank Morris is a career criminal, a very skilled one too. He had been in and out of the system since he was 13 years old, mostly for robbery. He was such a skilled escape artist that some people called him the Houdini of the prison system, because he had successfully escaped from many prisons before being sent to Alcatraz. John and Clarence Anglin were from the Florida and Georgia area. They were also career criminals. They robbed a bank in Ohio using a toy gun, but they were sent to Alcatraz because they tried to escape from Leavenworth Prison. Lawrence. But according to the story Alan West tells, West is the mastermind behind this plan. Lawrence. As West tells investigators, they first needed a way out of their cells and into the maintenance hallway behind them. Looking inside a cell on Alcatraz, there are only a few features, and one of them is an air vent right below the sink. Because the building was old and the salt water damaged the concrete, they were able to use spoons to slowly scrape away the concrete around the vent. Lawrence. They worked at night, watching for each other and making a plan to hide their work. Because these men were making their vents bigger, they could not just leave holes in the back of their cells. West gets green paint from his prison job and shows the others how to repaint around the vent as they remove it. It takes a lot of patience because guards check the cells every hour. Later, they start making papier-mâché vents to cover the holes they are creating. If you looked at it from inside the cell, about 9 feet away, it looked just like the real vent that was there before. Morris and the Anglins finally go through the hole for the first time and move through the maintenance hallway to the top of the cell block by climbing pipes to check the roof vent that West chose for the escape. But when they reach the vent, they see a problem. The vent is bolted in place. Lawrence. The escapees will need time outside their cells for weeks and even months to file down the bolt holding the roof vent. But they face regular night checks by guards. So, to make the guards think they are still in their beds, the escapees create fake heads for their beds. The dummy heads are made from anything the men can find. They are papier-mâché, but also soap and cement. For the final touch, Clarence Anglin uses real human hair from the prison barbershop and sticks it onto the heads. dramatic music. The fake heads give the escapees the time they need outside their cells to file down the bolt and reach the roof. But getting out of the building is only part of the plan. They also need a way to reach the shore. Lawrence. The escapees come up with a smart plan to turn prison raincoats into an inflatable raft and life jackets. By looking at a popular mechanics magazine, they learn how to make them and also create waterproof glue to keep them sealed in the water. They also make paddles using wood scraps and plywood they find in the prison. They steal a concertina and use it like a pump to fill the raft with air. Lawrence, around 10 p.m., Frank Morris, John Anglin, and his brother Clarence launch their homemade raft into the dangerous waters of San Francisco Bay and are never seen again. The next morning, when it is discovered that the prisoners are missing, the big question for prisoners, guards, and later the public is, did they survive? So, the FBI is called to start a search. Lawrence investigators' best source is still sitting in a cell on Alcatraz Island. Allen West is already known as the fourth escapee who failed. He has the fake head and the false vent cover as proof. Lawrence. After explaining his clever plan, West tells the investigators the planned escape route. Instead of going 1 mile south to San Francisco, they plan to go 2 miles north to Angel Island. It may sound strange why they wanted to go north to another island, but it makes sense because they could have been seen in their prison clothes in a busy area. Lawrence. At that time, Angel Island had a missile base that was being shut down, which could help the escapees. It was being closed, and very few people were there. There might even be boats they could use to reach the mainland. The mainland here is not San Francisco, but Marin County, which is only a quarter-mile north. Once they reached Marin, Allen West says the plan was to steal a car. Dramatic music. Lawrence. While searching near Angel Island a few days later, investigators find an important clue that matches West's story. They find a sealed packet made from rubber raincoats, so no water could get inside. They confirm it belonged to the Anglins because it had family photos. Lawrence investigators also find another clue near Angel Island, a wooden paddle just like West described. Lawrence, December 31st, 1979. More than 17 years after the escape, the FBI officially closes the case. The file is given to the U.S. Marshals if new leads appear. The case stays quiet until 2003. U.S. Marshal Michael Dyke decides to take another look and see if he can add anything new to the story. Lawrence. Soon, Dyke finds interesting evidence in old records. He checks Marin County police records and finds a report of a stolen 1955 blue Chevy on the night of the escape. A witness said there were 3 men inside the car, but at that time, it did not mean much because the escape was not yet public. Lawrence. Then Dyke finds another report from Stockton, California, about 100 miles away. Tense music. Just hours after the car theft, a man says a blue Chevy with 3 men forced him off the road. Later, the same car is seen again near Stockton with 3 people inside, raising suspicion. Lawrence. If this evidence is true, the men may have survived and reached Angel Island as planned. Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers may have actually escaped successfully. This is an exciting story to think about. A prison that no one could escape, and these 3 men found a way out. They spent their lives in and out of prison, but they used their intelligence and whatever they could find. They fought the law, and maybe they won. No bodies were